Now, the greatest radio shows of all time.
Suspense.
The Shadow Node.
Washington calling David Harding, Counter Spy.
Classic radio theater.
The Great Gildersleeve.
Fibber McGee and Molly.
Dragnet. Gunsmoke.
The Lone Ranger.
Now, step back into our time machine with your host, Wyatt Cox.
Good evening, friends of the Inner Sanctum.
Raymond Burr stars as Captain Lee Quince at Fort Laramie. This episode originally broadcast 67 years ago today, February 19th, 1956, Boredom. And we thank you for joining us on this Sunday. This is the 19th day of February. This is the 50th day of the year. 315 days remaining till we get to 2024. England and the Netherlands signed the Peace of Westminster on this date in 1674, ending the Third Anglo-Dutch War. A provision of the agreement transferred the Dutch colony of New Amsterdam to England, which they renamed New York. In Alabama on this date in 1807, former Vice President Raymond Burr arrested for treason. 1846 in Austin, the newly formed Texas state government officially installed. The Republic of Texas government officially transferred the power to the state of Texas government following Texas's annexation by the U.S. The phonograph, patented by Thomas Edison on this date in 1878, and in this recreation he recited the first words he ever recorded on the phonograph.
The first words I spoke in the original phonograph. A little piece of practical poetry. Mary had a little lamb, its fleece was white as snow, and everywhere that Mary went, the lamb was sure to go.
In 1888, Kansas became the first state to prohibit all alcoholic beverages. In 1930, and for years, all you could get in a store was watered-down beer, 3.2% beer, which is very, very weak. Prizes included in Cracker Jack candy boxes for the first time in 1913. Georgia approved the first literature censorship board in the U.S. in 1953. 1964, Paul Simon wrote The Sounds of Silence, the song which a year and a half later would catapult him and Art Garfunkel to stardom as Simon and Garfunkel. National Educational Television debuted the children's television program Mr. Rogers' Neighborhood on this date in 1968. Of course, NET would become PBS, the Public Broadcasting System. The Soviet Union launched the Mir space station in 1986. On that same date, after waiting 37 years, the Senate approved a treaty outlawing genocide. An Oklahoma City bombing museum dedicated on this date in 2001 at the Oklahoma City National Memorial. The center a memorial to those 168 people who died and more than 500 who were injured in that bombing.
The legacy of this place is heroism and goodness. That is what we celebrate in this museum.
Oklahoma Governor Frank Keating. The Rolling Stones made the largest show open to the public of the world in Copacabana Beach in Rio de Janeiro on this date in 2006. 1.3 million people attended the show. And in 2010, the FBI concluded Army scientist Bruce Ivins acted alone in the 2001 anthrax mailings that killed 5 people and formally closed the case. Passing away on this date in history, sports entrepreneur Charles O. Finley. He did some crazy things in his years of ownership of formerly the Kansas City, then the Oakland A's, all over. Let's see, also Grandpa Jones, Delightful Man, director Stanley Kramer, singer Johnny Paycheck, actress Janet Blair, and the author of To Kill a Mockingbird, Harper Lee. Born on this date in history, actor Sir Cecil Hardwicke, actress Merle Oberon, the fine musician, composer Stan Kenton. I should say arranger. I know that a lot of his songs were great arrangements. Also actor Lee Marvin, activist Karen Silkwood, Big John Studd, the pro wrestler born on this date, and singer Falco. Turning 83 today, singer songwriter lyricist Smokey Robinson, who talks about one of the first times he actually wrote lyrics when he was very young.
Auditorium teacher, she played this melody on the piano. And she said, well, they used to call me William or Bill in school. She said, well, William, she said, I don't have any words for this, but I'm going to get some words for you to sing. And you're going to sing this at the beginning of the show and at the end of the show. So I asked her, I said, well, can I write some words for it? Because I thought I could, and I liked it, So she thought it was very amusing and very cute that I was 6 years old and I wanted to write some words for it. So she said, okay. And she let me. And so I did it, and I wrote the words for the song, and I sang them at the beginning, and sang them at the end, and my mother was all proud. I never forget, because when I went out at the end of the show, and I went out, I was sitting in my mother's lap, and she was crying, because she was all proud and everything, But that was my first attempt at trying to write a song, and doing it.
Smokey Robinson, 83 years old today. Singer Lou Christie, Lightning Strikes Again. Great falsetto singer Lou Christie, 80 years old today. From The Martian and Dumb and Dumber, what a contrast of motion picture styles for Jeff Daniels, who is 68 today. Seal, Kiss from a Rose Holiday. 60 years old today. From Family Ties, Justine Bateman, who's also moved into directing and producing. Justine Bateman, 57. An Academy Award for Traffic, and also from The Usual Suspects, Benicio del Toro, 56 today. From Lost, Eric Lang, 50. From Seventh Heaven, Haley Duff, 38. Actress Victoria Justice is 30. From Gotham, David Mazouz is 22, and from Stranger Things, Millie Bobby Brown, 19 years old. Those just a few of the people celebrating the 19th day of February is their birthday, and if this happens to be your birthday...
Hi, we're the Four Freshmen, and we just want to say, Happy birthday to you!
And we're going all the way back 67 years, February 19th, 1956. Raymond Burr, Fort Laramie, on this Sunday. Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox, right here on your favorite radio station. Thanks for tuning into Classic Radio Theater with me, Wyatt Cox. We have talked about this before, but I think we have new listeners coming in all the time and new stations joining us all the time. And it is the fact that Perry Mason killed Fort Laramie. Why? Because the time that the star of the program, Raymond Burr, put into Perry Mason, he had zero time and zero ability to produce another show. And while he enjoyed the show, multiple sources have told us that he wanted to do it, and especially including our friend Carl Amari, who does the WGN Radio Theater and also does a show called Hollywood 360. He wrote about this, and in fact, one of the interesting things is that a lot of the radio colleagues that appeared with him on Fort Laramie and other productions he did over the years, he made sure that they got roles on the Perry Mason show. Some 180 radio celebrities appeared on the Perry Mason television show during the first season alone. And so while Perry Mason, and he said that there was just no time to do the show. He says, one interview, and I cannot find the source for that interview, basically said, we could always put a tape recorder in my car and I could record the lines there. But, he said that was the only time he had. So Perry Mason took so much of his time and his attention and everything that, quite frankly, it was difficult. And the show was good. The other thing was it aired at 5:30 Sunday nights, and it was difficult to find a sponsor for an early evening adult Western on CBS. Clearance also, I'm sure, a problem. Fort Laramie, this Sunday here on Classic Radio Theater, going back to February 19th, 1956, 67 years ago today.
At the gallop! Oh!
Fort-Laramie. Fort-Laramie, starring Raymond Burr as Captain Lee Quince. Specially transcribed tales of the dark and tragic ground of the wild frontier, the saga of fighting men who rode the rim of empire, and the dramatic story of Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry.
All right, you men, at ease. I said at ease.
What's the cavalry gonna do to win glory today, Sergeant?
I'm glad you spoke up, Soothey. You and Private Plover there have just volunteered to make mud bricks for the new powder magazine building.
Sergeant. No, Sergeant. Me and Plover worked in that adobe all day yesterday.
Another month, you ought to be finished.
I didn't join this army to make mud bricks.
You refusing an order, Soothey?
Put your shoes on, Plover. Let's get going.
Now, the rest of you men will finish cleaning this barracks and fall out in 10 minutes.
I suppose you're taking them buffalo hunting,
Each
Sergeant.
man will go to supply and get a pick or a shovel. We're building a road today. That's enough. I said 10 minutes. You line up smiling and happy, or I'll work you all night.
You got your shoes on, Plover?
Well, sure. What I need shoes for? I'll be on my hands and knees most of the time.
Ain't it a shame, men like us doing that kind of work?
Yeah. I'm ready, Soothey.
Then let's go. 10 minutes, soldiers, and don't forget them shovels.
I reckon any outfit's got to do some time in garrison, Soothey.
We've been in garrison 3 months. It's got me talking to myself.
Well, leastwise, we ain't getting shot at by no wild Indians.
What's the cavalry for if it ain't to get shot at and to do a little shooting itself?
All Indians around here is peaceable. Leastwise, it has been the last few months.
Reservation Indians. Them Cheyenne ought to be ashamed of themselves. Sitting around watching the women do the work, waiting to be fed by the government. Where's the gumption, anyway?
Well, good thing they is peaceable, I think. Them Indians go on a tear makes it bad for everybody.
They go on a tear to get us out of the garrison.
Well, they ain't going, so you just might as well face up to it.
I could make them go, Clover.
Oh, now stop that talk.
I've told you how I could make them go.
Now, looky here, Soothey, I ain't even gonna listen to you. Why, you could be shot for just what you're thinking.
Nobody'd ever know.
You know you're crazy. Being stuck here in a fort so long has driven you plumb crazy.
Your mouth's getting awful big, Clover.
Oh, now don't get on the prod. Looky here, I'll tell you what. Tonight you and me gonna sneak off the post and we'll go into town and have us a drink with that gal you like. That Ella Braden. How about that, Sid?
Never you mind, Ella Braden. You called me crazy.
Oh, I didn't mean nothing by it.
I ain't crazy, and I'll prove it to you.
You put that knife away, Soothey.
You got a knife? Get it out.
No.
Get it out, I said. I'm gonna cut you, Clover. I'll do it.
All right, that's how you want it. Now, there's my knife. Now you cut me, Soothey. Come on, now cut me.
I'll lay your whole face open, soldier.
Hold it, you men.
Lieutenant Syberts.
You don't mean nothing to me.
Get quits with him, Soothey.
Watch your face!
Oh, rip your belly open! You try that again!
Stop that man. Put those knives away.
It's a fair fight. You got no right to stop
Do
me.
as I say, Soothey.
You cut me, I'll put mine away.
I can't quit less than he does.
All right, Soothey. You too, Plover. I know you're on edge being in garrison so long, but that's part of soldiering. And so's keeping your temper. Now put those knives away before we all get in trouble.
Oh, there's mine. All right, you hear the captain, Soothey.
There's mine.
You men on detail?
Making mud pies again, Captain.
Then get to it. If there's any more fighting, you'll go to the guardhouse. That clear?
Yes, sir.
Move out.
Sir.
Those men are crazy enough to have stuck you, Captain, getting between them that way.
One of them might have stuck me, Mr. Syberts, not both of them.
They need action, Captain. They're soldiers, not laborers.
Yeah, they're even forgetting to think like soldiers. There's going to be more trouble like this, Mr. Syberts. A lot more. Captain Quince reporting, sir.
At ease, Captain. Well, how's B Company getting along?
Well, Major Daggett, I guess B Company's getting along about the way you'd expect.
Like those 2 men of yours last week who were going at each other with knives?
I didn't know you'd heard about that, Major.
I heard about it. I also heard how you failed to punish them.
With all due respect, sir, it's my company.
And you know I never interfere on a company level.
I'd transfer out of here if you did.
Well, I'm sure you would. It isn't easy, is it, Lee?
Much more of this. I'll be looking for a good fight myself.
Enforced inactivity, the bane of the cavalry.
That and the salt pork diet. 2 more of my men came down with scurvy today, Major.
That's what I wanted to see you about, Lee.
Huh?
How'd you like to go on a buffalo hunt?
Buffalo hunt? I thought we couldn't go out.
I know. General orders are to avoid antagonizing the Indians by hunting buffalo in their territory.
We're sitting right in the middle of their territory.
22 cases of scurvy are enough. Higher orders are to hold Fort Laramie with a full complement of cavalry. Captain Quince, you think you can bring in some fresh meat without starting a new Indian war?
I can try, sir.
I'm dependent on you.
Yes, sir.
You'll take 15 men, 2 wagons, and 6 mules. You'll leave 1/2 hour after reveille tomorrow morning. You'll return Saturday by sundown without fail. Exactly 1 week from today. Any questions?
No, sir.
I hope you'll see fit to include those 2 men, Soothey and Plover, in your party.
I intend to, sir. As skinners.
Then move out.
Hey, Soothey, how you feel? Not so good, Plover. I'm bleeding again. Or most to the fort. Here, see the men? They're standing around waiting on us. That's what the captain said. Saturday by sundown. We made it. Yeah, some of us made it. 8 of us. 8 out of 15. 7 men killed. We done all right. I reckon so. Hey, looky, there's Major Daggett. He's waiting too, you see him? No. I can't see so good, Plover. My head hurts bad. Everything's kind of swimmy. You ain't gonna pass out now, are you? The way you got me roped onto this saddle wouldn't matter none if I did pass out. Well, these other boys hurt worse than you. I ain't complaining. Vince up ahead there, he passed out. Got him tied belly down across his saddle. Then I reckon he's dead. We're here, Soothey. We're back. I can't see nothing but the fort. Oh, my head hurts awful. Patrol, halt!
Corporal Mercer, you'll remain with the wounded. They'll stay mounted. Sergeant Gorse, get detail from the garrison to help these men down, get them to the hospital.
Sir?
Rest of you stable the horses. Patrol dismissed. Mr. Cybert!
I have to do all I can do.
Yes, sir.
Would you take my horse to the stable for me?
Certainly, Captain.
I'd better report to the major there.
Yes, sir.
If you'd care to, come by my quarters later. I'll find us a drink.
Thank you, sir.
Captain Quince reporting, sir.
You're not hurt, Lee.
No, sir.
Good. What happened?
Cheyenne. Over 100 Braves hit us. Dawn 2 days ago. I had a guard posted, but they rode right over them. 7 troopers killed in battle. Another died in the saddle about noon today. Wagons, mules lost.
I sent a scout looking for you.
He never found us. What is it, Major? Cheyenne jumped the reservation?
Yeah. And nobody knows why. They slipped out in the middle of the night and disappeared.
I can't figure it. Big Wolf's been as peaceful a chief as I've known.
Big Wolf's young son died a couple of weeks ago. Maybe that got him started.
I think I'll ride out to the reservation tomorrow. Take a look around. What for? No particular reason, Major. Just curious.
Norman Macdonald brought those same production values from Gunsmoke to Fort Laramie. February 19th, 1956, Fort Laramie here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. The news from 67 years ago today comes up next. Here's Mike Lindell talking about getting your best friend something special.
And Mike, you've done it again. You've brought us an amazing line of dog beds.
This has been a long time coming. It starts with the same patented fill for your dogs now as we do my pillow. I wanted everything covered in sizes from your largest dog to your smallest dog. You can throw them in the washer and dryer. The dogs love it. They asked, and here they are. This is why you get the dog bed. This is the main reason. The dogs love it.
And you've got that 10-year warranty, right?
I can do it because the dogs love it. They don't want to wreck their bed.
And you can get these MyPillow dog beds at a price lower than the big box stores, as low as $19.95. Call 1-800-928-4715, 1-800-928-4715, or go to mypillow.com/pet and use my promo code Wyatt. Treat your best friend to a MyPillow dog bed, mypillow.com/pet. Promo code Wyatt. Thanks for spending part of your Sunday with us here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. We're listening to an episode of Fort Laramie starring Raymond Burr as it was broadcast Sunday afternoon, 5:30 Eastern Time, and that was February 19th, 1956. In the newspapers of that Friday, 67 years ago, these were some of the headlines. Investigating senators racked up a partial victory in their efforts to pry out the inside story of this country's role in the easing of free trade restrictions with Russia. Chairman McClellan, the Democrat of Arkansas, announced the Commerce Department has agreed to give his Senate Investigations Subcommittee a report which has been kept secret. Secretary of the Air Force Quarles today discounted the overriding importance of atomic missiles, saying they do not kill you any deader than planes carrying A-bombs. This was his reply to critics hammering on the theme that the government has been dragging its feet in developing far-ranging missiles and that Russian progress impairs this country. Russian Defense Minister Georgy K. Zhukov said today the Soviet Union has mighty guided missiles, and if the West launched an attack, the Russians will hurl atomic bombs on American cities. In an address before the 20th Congress of the Communist Party, Marshal Zhukov declared that although the Soviet Union wants peace, it's prepared to go all out in the event of war. The U.S. canceled its 2-day-old embargo on the shipment of arms to the Middle East, including 18 light tanks for Saudi Arabia. President Eisenhower made the final decision on the recommendation of the State Department, where officials had conferred all day and into the evening. Dr. Thomas H. Brewer, Negro physician who was a local NAACP leader and a member of Georgia's Republican State Central Committee, shot to death in the office of a small department store. Dr. Brewer, also a member of the Muskogee County GOP Executive Committee, shot 7 times with a small caliber automatic pistol. He was dead on arrival at City Hospital. And President Eisenhower got out in the warm sun today for another round of quail hunting, accompanied by his host, Secretary of the Treasury Humphrey. The president climbed aboard a mule-drawn hunting roadster shortly after 9 a.m., and went off to the fields of the plantation estate. The 4th straight day of plenty of outdoor activity for the president, who still is testing his health preparatory to telling the nation whether he will seek re-election. Oh, and Russia rejected a U.S. reply to a Soviet protest charging the U.S. had sent espionage balloons over Russian territory. The American reply said no balloons other than those launched for meteorological observation had been sent aloft by the U.S. in Europe. The Soviet note, however, offers to prove by exhibitions in Western capitals the balloons were launched to carry out aerial photo reconnaissance of Soviet observation. Those some of the day's top news stories from the newspapers of Sunday, February 19th, 1956 on your Radio Fort Laramie, which continues following these messages. You're listening to Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Now on Monday's Classic Radio Theater, we'll head to Pine Ridge, Arkansas, and see what's going on in the Jot 'em Down store with Lum and Abner. This episode from 74 years ago, February 20th, 1949, as they're raising money to go to a convention. This is one of those restored shows Ted at RadioMemories.com has supplied to us. The boys try to attend a convention in Leavenworth, Kansas by borrowing $200 from a finance company. That's on Monday's Classic Radio Theater, but now the conclusion of Fort Laramie, February 19th, 1956, 67 years ago today.
Captain, I don't think them Cheyenne left a single thing out here.
Yeah, they sure stripped the place, Gorse.
I guess when you ain't got much, you don't leave nothing behind at all.
Oh.
Captain, all them poles over there with the burying platforms on them.
What about them?
They're all new, Captain. I mean, they're empty. There's no corpses laying on them.
Can't be new. They must have taken their dead with them, Sergeant. I don't understand it.
That ain't like them. Why would they do that?
They were in quite a hurry.
What do you mean?
Look at that grave over there. It's half torn down.
Yeah. Kind of spooky out here, ain't it?
Yeah. Well, we'll stop in town on the way back, Sergeant.
Now you're making this detail worthwhile, Captain.
Yeah, I got some business at the post office.
Post office?
But I'll meet you at the saloon when I'm through.
I'll be there, Captain. You can depend on me. Of course, we don't make much money, but, well, soldiering's an honorable profession. It's better than being a thief, ain't it?
I hope I'm not intruding, Sergeant Gorse.
Captain? Captain Quince, this here's Ella Braden.
How do you do, Ella?
Pleased to meet you, Captain. Won't you sit down?
Oh, thanks.
I've been trying to explain to Ella that soldiers are just as good as civilians.
I never said they weren't, Sergeant.
Sergeant Gorse has been in the cavalry 20 years, Ella. He's still trying to figure out why.
I think you're right, Captain. It's all he talks about.
Now, that ain't so.
I mean, when you're being a gentleman, Sergeant.
Oh.
You know what he did a couple of weeks ago, Captain?
Now, Ella.
What'd he do, Ella?
Well, he... Nah, I'm too much of a lady to say it.
Thank goodness for that, anyway.
Ella, if Gorse gets out of line, just you whack him with a bottle. It's the only kind of language he understands sometimes.
Oh, I got something better to whack him with, Captain. It's carved from solid bone.
What?
Here, I got it in this sack. Brought it in to show to the barkeep.
Now, what in the world is that, Ella?
Let me see that.
It's an Indian souvenir of some kind.
Where'd you get this, Ella?
A kid at the fort gave it to me. He found it somewhere, I guess.
Who gave it to you?
His name is Soothey.
Soothey.
Well, what's wrong, Captain?
This is a Cheyenne totem, Ella. I'm gonna have to keep it.
Oh, here, now, that's mine. You give it back.
Sorry, Ella. You'll have to find another souvenir. This one's caused enough trouble.
Morning, Captain Quince.
Lieutenant Mather, I want to see Private Soothey. Where's his bed?
At the far end, Captain. There, where Sergeant Gorse is.
Thank you.
Captain?
Gorse? Hello, Soothey.
Oh, Captain Quince. How are you, sir?
How you feeling, Soothey?
Oh, pretty good, Captain. Except for my head aching all the time.
You'll get over it.
I better. I can't stand it this way, sir. I wish they'd killed me if I got to go on like this.
Soothey, you seen this before?
I don't know, Captain. What is it?
You know what it is. Where'd you get it?
I can't help you, Captain. I'm sorry. Maybe later sometime.
Now, look here, Soothey. You know I won't take an answer like
Captain
that.
Quince.
What is it, Sergeant?
Would you step over here a minute, sir?
All right. What do you want?
Oh, my head always stop aching.
Oh, I see. All right, Sergeant.
Aches all the time.
Well, Soothey, I won't bother you anymore. I know all I need to anyway.
I don't know what you're talking about, Captain.
I ought to hate you, Soothey. But I only feel sorry for you. What you've done, I'm going to try to set right. But whether I can or not, you're going to have to live with it the rest of your life. I think I'm speaking for a lot of good men who died because of you. Sergeant?
Yes, sir?
Meet you at the main gate in half an hour. Have our horses saddled and packed with 2 days' rations. Move out.
I find this hard to believe, Captain.
Major Daggett, I've always tried to think of every trooper in my company as a real soldier. Somehow it makes me feel less of one myself when I find out about a man like Private Soothey.
I can understand that, Captain Quince. I sympathize with you.
Yes, sir.
But what do you propose to do about it is nothing short of suicide. I can't allow that.
I'm meeting Sergeant Gorse at the main gate in a few minutes, Major. I'm volunteering for this mission. If he goes with me, he'll have to volunteer, too.
Big Wolf and his Cheyenne are a mission for the entire 2nd Cavalry, Captain, not for 2 men only.
It was me those Cheyenne warriors hit, Major. It was my men I watched die. This mission belongs to B Company. To me. Not to the 2nd Cavalry.
You're putting a terrible responsibility on me, Captain Quince.
As a volunteer? I don't see how, Major.
All right, go ahead.
Thank you, sir.
Oh, Lee.
Yes, sir?
I'll give you one order. You're to return to Fort Laramie within 2 weeks. Without fail.
More coffee, Gorse?
I could sure use it.
It's hot.
I can see that. Thanks, Captain.
This is better than garrison, isn't it, Sergeant?
Oh, it sure is. Night's full of stars. We had a good dinner of pork and chickpeas. Coffee's hot, there's plenty of it. Got a big fire going here, lots of wood. There's nothing wrong with this, Captain. Except for one little thing, maybe.
What's that, Sergeant?
Oh, it's hardly worth mentioning.
Oh, go ahead. Speak up.
Well, from all the sign we seen today, I'd guess we're smack in the middle of about 4 Cheyenne war parties.
You know, I think you're right, Sergeant.
Of course, I don't know for sure, but with this bonfire we got going, I got a sneaky idea them Injuns just might catch on to our being here sooner or later.
They might. Sorry you came along, Sergeant.
I volunteered. Interesting mission, you said.
Yeah. I also said we might get killed, didn't I?
You didn't say how.
I don't know how, Sergeant.
I bet I could tell you.
Not interested. If we get killed, this mission will be a failure.
Now, say I hadn't thought of that. Now, that'd be a doggone shame, wouldn't it, Captain?
It would.
I can just see all them generals back in Washington sitting around a big shiny table saying, that darn fool captain, that darn fool sergeant couldn't accomplish a simple little old mission. What's the cavalry coming to? That's what they'll be saying.
Throw some wood on the fire, Gorse. You're closest.
Sure. Captain Quince?
Yeah?
They're here. All around us.
Step back to the fire. Real slow.
If they can see anything at all, they can see we ain't armed.
They wouldn't show themselves this close if they didn't know that.
They're coming in, Captain.
Stand steady, Sergeant. No sudden movements.
It's sure some fine way for the cavalry to go Indian hunting.
We found them, didn't we?
What happens now?
That's not entirely up to us, Sergeant. Easy now.
Sure.
Zilaho di na yi.
Hi alo zilo.
Diish lai nya.
I aise over Rio Onzo.
What's he saying?
He says he'll take us to Big Wolf, all right. He says the chief wouldn't want to miss the torture before they kill us. You awake, Ghost?
Who could do any sleeping tied up like this?
It'll be dawn soon.
I just ain't looking forward to it today, Captain.
At least we'll get out of this teepee.
You know, this is the first time I was ever inside one. I ain't missed a thing.
I don't know. A teepee can be pretty nice when you got a fire going and a buffalo robe to wrap up in.
Maybe some antelope steak for breakfast and a jug of spring water. Maybe a woman to do all the work.
Well, you're spoiled, Gorse. Rotten spoiled.
Well, it ain't the frontier life did it, Captain. I can tell you that.
You never should have left home.
O ishnaizo valaya.
He says they're ready for us, Sergeant.
O oivazi nyava.
What was that?
Big Wolf hasn't returned. They've decided not to wait for him.
But, Captain...
He was our only chance. I could have talked to Big Wolf. Not these other warriors. Not even worth trying.
Ishlai ani.
He's gonna cut us loose.
Why not? With 100 braves out there, we ain't going no place.
You can tie a man up awful tight.
I ain't even sure I can walk.
Alia azo.
Well, let's go, Sergeant.
Sure.
Sergeant.
What is it?
Big Wolf. He's back.
Thank heaven for that.
Well, it's a chance, at least.
There he is. Say, he looks like a chief, don't he?
Yeah, he does.
Captain Quince.
Hello, Big Wolf.
My people are ready for your death.
I know. We allowed ourselves to be captured, Big Wolf.
This I do not understand.
I wanted to see you. I wanted to bring you something.
White soldier has brought shame and dishonor to my people and to me.
You're speaking of your son's grave.
White soldier come at night. Left my son's body on ground.
Yes. And he stole this from your son's grave.
The totem of my clan.
The white soldier did this to dishonor you, Big Wolf.
Cheyenne recover honor in war and by killing you.
Let me say something first, Big Wolf. It was neither of us did this thing. It was a soldier who was weak and foolish and bad. This soldier has dishonored me as well as you. We do not want war with your people.
Who is soldier?
His name's Soothey.
Give him to me.
No, I can't do that.
Then you must die.
You have already killed 8 soldiers, Big Wolf. Soon many soldiers will come. More soldiers than you have braves.
Give me Soothey.
So you can punish him?
He must be punished. He must die.
Big Wolf, when you wake in the morning and step outside your lodge, what do you see? Tell me.
I see the sun on the land, morning shadows, bright mountains.
And if you could not see all this?
It would not be good.
The white soldier, Soothey, has already been punished, Big Wolf.
By you, it is not enough.
No, not by me. By your warriors in the fight. He is blind, Big Wolf.
Blind?
Blind for the rest of his life. His punishment will never stop.
You are brave men to come here with the totem.
There must be no war between our people.
The thing is done. 7 of my warriors died in fight. It is enough.
We ride back in peace?
Yes.
Then we've won, Big Wolf. We've both won.
Fort Laramie is produced and directed by Norman MacDonald and stars Raymond Burr as Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry, with Vic Perrin as Sergeant Gorse. The script was specially written for Fort Laramie by John Meston, with sound patterns by Bill James and Ray Kemper. Musical supervision by Amerigo Marino. Featured in the cast were Sam Edwards, Harry Bartell, Jack Moyles, Jack Crucian, Howard Culver, and Vivi Janis.
Company, tension! Dismiss!
Next week, another transcribed story of the Northwest frontier and the troopers who fought under Lee Quince, Captain of Cavalry.
February 19th, 1956, Fort Laramie here on Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Thank you for making us a part of your day. Thank this station. Support their advertisers. It's their kindness and courtesy that allow us to be with you each and every time you roll around here on your favorite station. Now, if you miss a day, you don't have to miss a single show. All of our shows are available at classicradio.stream. That's classicradio.stream. Stream our shows. Learn how to build a classic radio collection of your own. You can contact me there, find our social media links, or you can be like our friend John did and buy me a copy. He says he enjoys the shows very much, and he supports us with the Buy Me a Coffee link. That's at classicradio.stream. Thank this station, support their advertisers, tell your friends the greatest radio shows of all time are right here every Sunday on your favorite station, Classic Radio Theater with Wyatt Cox. Have a great week.